Hey, family. This is Wakesa coming at you with another installment of Black Family Storyology Night Countdown. That Black Family Storyology Night is going to happen on the 13th, Thursday, this Thursday, at 8 p.m. But Afia says I shouldn't start with the announcement. Maybe a question. Hi, family. This is what. Hey, family. This is Wakesa. I have a question for you. If you were visiting a family that lived in a condominium in Chicago, and you availed yourself of the pool. So you and your two sons were uh, going down to the pool to have a swim. And if two white women, let's call them Karens, came to you demanding your ID, that you show them your ID, and you reassured them that you were a resident here or you were staying with a resident here, and pointed out to them that there are no other people being asked for their ID, would you submit? Would you go upstairs to get your ID and says, just a minute? Or would you call it out and says, no, I don't need to go and get my ID. Nobody else is being asked for their ID. This white man swimming in the pool is not being asked to get his ID. That's the first question. Would you hold your ground or would you do what she says? And if your two sons, the older one walks away, is on the phone. The younger one, who's about 10, comes close to you and says, let's get your ID. It's obvious that he's afraid as the Karens are calling the police on their phone. And he says to you, Dad, let's get your ID. Would you then, because your son is appealing to you and because your son is afraid for you, would you submit? That's the second question. Of course, I'm referring to the Poolside Karen. This situation that I described to you happened. Um, and the Karens did call the police twice. The man told his son, who broke into tears, afraid that his father would be arrested and maybe worse. He just told his son that we're going to take a stand. His son cried louder. The father did not chastise him, did not get angry with him, decided that this was going to be a teaching moment for his sons, got back in the pool and started swimming. When the police came, oh, and they were called twice, incidentally. So after both times, the police said that this is not a chargeable offense. And there was no further incident. Or when they were called, incidentally, they changed their story and said that this black man was harassing them. So to say that it was resolved without incident is crazy, because it was an incident. His son was terrified. We don't use traumatized, but he was terrified. And um, and the man had to, even when he was swimming, had to be doing all kind of calculations about what would happen when the police got there. So there definitely was an incident. There were no charges. So now let's go to another set of questions. Let's say you are that man, you get on your plane and take your family, come to Chicago. I mean, come from Chicago back to Atlanta. Now it's time to think about how you're going to talk about this with your children, with your older son who walked away, and with your younger son who was crying and afraid for you and insisting that you just do what they're asking you to do or demanding you do. In that case, I want us to think about this Black Family Storyology Night. What stories are already in that 10-year-old's mind that would have him make that choice or direct his father to have the choice to submit, even though it was unjust? What would have him persist, this young man? What story must he have so that he would persist even when his father said, we're not going to do that? Now, to be clear, the young man did not oppose his father. He didn't start arguing with him. The father just held his ground and said, we're not going to do that. And the son cried louder. Point is, so what story must that child have in their head? And if it's there, and certainly it would make sense that it's there, that's not the criticism at all. The question becomes, if you were in that father's place, what story or stories would you begin to tell your son to heal those broken stories? You see, the broken story is if a white person demands something of you, submit, period, end of story. And if you don't submit, you can be taken to jail or killed. What is this father, or what would you tell your children or your son so that they could have some discernment? Do you have any fight back stories in your life? Fight back against racism? You have any fight back stories in your family's life? You have any take your stand and hold your ground stories? What kind of stories do you think that the father had that supported his decision to stand his ground? And do you think he might share those stories with his son? See, often we don't think about that. And I'm not talking about the specific do this and don't do this instruction. I'm talking about how much stories can provide the environment, the information, the strategies to help us better discern what to do in that situation. That is why we're encouraging you to attend Black Family Storyology Night, because the story can either nurture our power or kill it. The story can either expand our capacity for discernment and decision making or condemn us to manipulated decision already ahead of time. This is Wakesa. What we've been talking about is part of the story 2.0, the talk 2.0. That is, things have changed since the talk of how to have our children navigate through racism in America. Racism in America, its expression, not the core, not the beliefs, but the active expressions have changed. It's time that we update that story. And it's time that we do it not just as preachers telling our children what to do and not to do, not just throwing tidbits like, oh, they're just ignorant. It needs to be more nuanced than that. And it's so important that we use the power of our tongues as our ancestors did to prepare ourselves and our children. I will see you on Thursday. It's $47. I'm not kidding. That part is the Talk 2.0 is not. And the sessions we had last Monday and that we'll have again by popular demand, those are free. And those are powerful sessions. And we need a complement to that. We need to have some other things so that we're not just preaching at our young people when we're telling them about how to succeed in America, about how to fight, about how to take a stand, about when to retreat. And we must teach them the difference, if they must retreat, between retreat and surrender. We must also, as this situation illustrates, assess what are the stories that are already in place that will predetermine behavior and choices and fears. The Talk 2.0 and Storyology. We must become the premier storyologists in our children's lives, in our people's lives, and of course, before all of that, in our own life. Take care.